मैं बड़ा कुत्ता बड़ा भालू कलवे में खुश. That was the Hindi translation of Mario Juda's
Mario
song.
Judas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big dog, big bear, kalwa main hoon.
Yeah, bro, because black people, I'm so jealous of black people, man. These people be making good music and then keeping it to themselves. This is quite literally gatekeeping before gatekeeping was invented.
Yeah, this is gatekeeping the end term. No, okay. So let's begin again. So Saint Uditya proposed an idea where he said that black people should be integrated into the men's right movement. And my proposition is, before that, we should clean the image of black people in the mainstream. Because the general idea or the normie or mainstream idea of black pill is that it's a pessimistic
Yeah.
pill where if you take the black pill, you turn into a pessimistic incel, in quotes, where our
They believe
catchphrase
that
is
taking the black
overlisted.
pill is what makes you an incel.
No, they go as that if you take black pill, you basically lose hope in your life and you admit that you can't do anything. It's like basically giving up on life. It's a pessimistic idea, and our catchphrase that's "it's over," which most of the time is used as a meme, as an insider meme.
Yeah, that's
It's
also
taken
known
as a
as. Sometimes I also say it's Joe. And someone
It's
asked me, what the
Joe.
fuck does that even mean? I said, why would you stretch this shit? Why would you stretch this out and say it's over for Joe Biden? Just say it's over.
It's Joe, and it had Joe. It was Joe for him. So yeah, that's my proposition, and we should clean this image. So every time somebody says that black pill is for somebody pessimistic, I don't believe it is, because admitting that genetically you weren't blessed with a chat face, you basically almost in most cases can't do anything about it, and that's not being pessimistic in my humble opinion. That's being
Realistic, more of.
Now, of course, you can do things to improve, and it's not like average guy can't do anything. Saint Uditya is more or less like above average, but it isn't that average guy should lose hope. Now, if you're sub 5, I think losing
Yeah, you
hope
should
would-
still try. I would say you should still try. But yeah, sometimes it's just so fucking over, man. Like, you really can't do anything at that point of time. You have to make peace with the fact that the life you might have may not be the best life, but there's still ways that the black bill prescribes that would be a good way to live your life out without harming yourself. And the reason I said that this should be a part of the men's rights movement, you know what, whom you need to save men from the most? Their own selves, their own delusional hopes. That's the issue. You know, a lot of you guys probably know this Vikram Aditya guy, and now this might seem like these blue pill ideologies might seem like everyday, platitudes, but I just realized how deep this runs. You know, Vikram posted something about the looks pyramid, and there was a woman who commented, and this episode is going to draw out very long. It's going to talk about some very sensitive topics as well later on. First, let me get this out of the way. So this is kind of an example to set the tone right. So a woman commented all of that personality mumbo jumbo, and Vikram just straight up wrote, "ये सुनने में अच्छा लगता है. This just sounds all right." And
Yeah, this sounds right. This sounds right as a theory, but when
honestly,
it comes to the real
Vikram,
life application,
I don't agree with that guy 100% of the times. I believe 30% of the times he's high IQ, 40% of the times he behaves retarded, and rest of the times it's so and so. Overall, he's a positive impact. I would say anything that teaches Indian guys to break out of this circle of providing and being a cuck is probably better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But again, 30% high IQ takes is a really low. It is a really low rate.
Bro,
I mean,
it's better than zero. It's 100 times better than Shwetab, for examples. He's like listen to me, man. 30% average takes, 30% high IQ takes, and 40% retarded takes. I would take that any day over 100% of meh takes that guys like Shwetab do.
Yeah, I would admit, but it's just that the standard of this continent, this subcontinent, the Indian subcontinent in general, not only Indian. If you are watching from Pakistan, Nepal, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Afghanistan, we probably have bigger concerns, but the neighboring nations. The neighboring nations.
There was
it's
there
the
was a
same.
guy who was subscribed to us from Afghanistan.
Videsh
brutal.
Taliban, let's go. That's a fucking milestone. Yeah. So what I was saying is the standard in here is so low that only
We
having
are 100%
30%.
know where the 0.1% views come from. Like in Germany, yeah, it's tails.
Yeah, it's it's tails. Tails, you're watching. Uh, you sneaky little German. I'm trying to imitate the German accent. Okay, never mind. So yeah, what I was saying, the bar here is so low that even my arch nemesis, carnivores, have more base take than them. But again, yeah, as you said, you would rather have 30% base take over 100% matty.
Yeah, and some guy was again at it like these looks maxing incels don't have any real life partner, bro. Plenty of guys in the black pill community have partners in real life, including the prime guy chat tag. Like chat tag mostly dials it down, but yeah, we would not talk about all of this stuff. But what I'm gonna let you guys know is it dials it down because most people can't really take it. Uh,
Now just imagine if the diluted version of black pill triggered so many people. Just imagine if they were presented with the raw, unfiltered black pill. They would just lose their shit.
yeah,
That's why even as a black pillar, I'm a proponent of not making black pill mainstream because I personally believe that most
Yeah,
guys
so
are
this guy
mentally
was
strong.
saying shit like, oh, I know a guy who is 5'3" and fat and he's in a happy relationship. What I always talk about is you never know what these relationships are behind closed doors. It doesn't work like that, bro. You see a genuine land whale, you see a genuine true cell. When you see a land whale, you don't behave like shit to her face, right? You don't see a true cell on the street and start screaming like, it's over! You don't. Only Hamoudi.
Yeah, or us in the future if we get enough traction. But again, I would like to point out that A, what could be the possibilities? A, the guy is overrating the girl. What if the female partner is short as well and ugly and fat? Who knows? That could be effective, as we know guys overrate the fuck out of women.
Yeah, not
Or
just.
B, it could.
And honestly, I would say that not every relationship is a beta bucks. But the discussion that I had today with the woman, and it was a pretty long, fucked up discussion. And what it eventually came to, I told her that women they don't want to settle with men these days. Like it's a diminishing occurrence, but women are still settling. There are some women, in spite of what the media is telling you, oh brother, the young woman is making more than the average man. Bro, there will always be a number of women who will settle. Yes, that might hit a certain number which is pretty low, lower than it's today, but it would always remain because a lot of women, they are not high IQ and they cannot do labor jobs. So they would have to depend on men, right? They would have to depend on men, and this is what Harvard University kind of discovered as well. Harvard and Cambridge ran a research on this. They call it the SATC equilibrium, which is basically the current equilibrium of society that we live in. So the less skilled women, they outbid the more skilled women and end up with average looking partners. The less skilled and less attractive women. This is supported by studies from Kanizawa, Hu, and Larere in 2018. These women often end up with high earning guys as well. Because those women, those average and high tier women, they have such insatiable standards that they would rather stay single and sometimes have sex with a guy. And she was saying shit like, oh, but in India there are different standards. Well, there are not any different standards in India. The issue is there are still vast swaths of our country, and the truth is it's probably true in the United States as well. As much as Americans don't want to admit to this, there's vast swaths of America as well where women aren't really empowered. Like that might be a third of the population. And when you start going past the big cities, when you start seeing those, towns where people have those weird teeth, which more or less resemble, those racist towns, right? Those places still have
Yeah.
women who do not work. Back there, women still have to lower their standards. The issue is uh, when your culture is like India, like the half of the country still, for half of the country, marriage is still not between like the guy and the girl. It's still between two families.
Half? You are vastly overestimating. I believe that it's 90%.
I'm not saying it's 90%. I'm willing to say that it's somewhere around that 50 to 70% range. The
I mean,
only
even
and she kept saying that, but man, you don't have any studies for India. So I provided her the names of a lot of scientists. Uh, I provided her the names of TJ Cousins, Elizabeth McClintock, Ellen Burchide, and she's like, "Oh, you're not providing any research from India, brother. The Indian medical ministry quite literally funds Ayurveda and homeopathy. Homeopathy is funded by the Indian ministry. Do you expect anything good from this? Do you genuinely expect
no,
a good survey on martial rape? Do you expect a good survey? There's surveys that exist on South Asian women that, and the martial rape is not like the husband forces herself on the woman. The thing is, it's not a crime in India, number one, and number two is the women just put up with it. But when asked in surveys, they don't really want it. They have to depend. It's not that they are choosing that. She kept saying me, she kept telling me, but the country, the education that we grew up in lets us choose. So I immediately countered, or it doesn't let us choose. I mean, our country,
alright,
it allows, our country,
I would,
India, it
yeah.
allows me to choose between a guy who has the spine of a more, and this was said by someone who's relatively famous, and I'm paraphrasing more or less, someone who has the spine of a molten eclair, our honorable prime minister, honorable or dishonorable prime minister whom we have now, and a guy, the opposition guy, who wants to use my taxpayer money to fund the most vile sections of the minorities.
Yeah, coming at the point of the Ministry of Health funding Ayurveda, it's such a big bullshit because, see, it's not like Ayurveda is not effective at all. It is effective, but but guys, come on, like rubbing some plant extract on your wounds, it only takes you certain far. You can't expect to deal with things like, I had such a big fucking debate with somebody on YouTube's comment section. He was like, "Oh, bro, we have been using this for centuries, for millenniums," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's why millenniums have suffered from hair loss." And they're like, "Oh, bro, earlier people used to get bald at 50, now we are getting bald at 25." And I'm like, "There's no fucking conclusive evidence. You are just pulling that out of your ass."
I mean, that might be true, but it has nothing to do with those things being used more. It's more to do with the kind of lifestyles that we, there's stress related alopecia that's pretty common these days. But yeah, that's a different
And
topic
that's
altogether.
and that's a fucking tight slap to the Indian education system, which is basically the primary driver of everything wrong in the nation, especially that woman. You pointed out, you screenshot a comment where some woman, wrote to him that this guy, Sindhutya, has zero comprehension skills. Turns out she has
No,
zero comprehension.
She didn't write that to me. She didn't write that to me. She wrote that stuff to another guy. Also, she has a self-admission. She says, it's very difficult to find a guy in his 30s who has not slept around as well. Now that is absolutely false for all the reasons we know, all right. The top percent of men have been having more sex than ever, while you have an underclass that have to watch Andrew Tate, that tells them that they should grind their lives away for some woman who doesn't love them. And this is the entire idea I'm talking about, that black pill should talk about this men's rights movement. It should jump into it, because the biggest factor of harm for a man is himself and his delusional hope. If he keeps believing that if he keeps believing that a woman can love him while no woman loved him in his prime years, then that's the formula for a disaster. And I wrote that women don't want to settle with a guy unless he makes her life significantly better if she's educated, or someone who's pretty good looking. She said, "Oh, where are you pulling out these stats from?" I said, "You have no data from India, but the data from the West is pretty clear that women who are free, who have education, if a man has, let's say, the features of an Asian man, he has to make 6 times more than the average annual income of the country. If he's, and I was talking to this guy like 2 days ago on the Jathan comment section. "Oh, 3 inches of height is nothing, bro." 3 inches of height is nothing, bro. Like, come on, man. What the
That's
fuck?
that's considerable significant standard deviations above.
A 5'7" guy, a 5'7" guy has to make thrice the national average income. And there's one study from Momspresso and Vox, like that had a significant sample size. She kept asking me, "Oh, what are the sample size of these studies?" I listed the study, the massive study from Kanizawa, Hu, and Larere in 2018 that proved that unattractive women in developed societies, they have no difficulties finding partners, but unattractive women do. But unattractive men do, sorry. And the Northwestern University study from Finkel and Eastwick, it had 5,400 participants, and attractiveness was found to be more important for women than it was for men. And this is partly due to the fact that, let me get this straight. When a woman gets an average rating of 6, let's say, one guy has probably rated her 4, another guy has probably rated her, how much? 8. This variance in what kind of men, or what kind of women, what kind of women men find attractive, while it's generally far less true for women. There was a guy who also commented, by the way, Orca, I want you to talk about this. I often get this comment from a lot of guys: if she gets with you because of how you look, she will leave you for another man who looks better than you. I mean, that's probably not how it works. Let's
Yeah,
get this straight.
because
After a certain point, after let's say you are 8, if she genuinely got with you for your looks, after you were like over 7.5 and 8, she probably thinks you are a 10 anyways. It's just that 100% of women don't find, there's probably not one man on this planet whom 100% of women would rate 10, but the percentage would go higher and higher up with our scaling. Someone that we
Yeah,
rate
alright, so
9.6, 9.7 on our black belt scale, like Matt Boma or someone like John Eric Hexum, those guys will be rated extremely high. Or Hernan Drago, those guys will be rated extremely high by most women, but not all women. 1% maybe,
also,
yeah. While
also,
compared
let me
to
break it
someone
down.
like a Killian Murphy, 50% of women, 60% of women might consider him very attractive, or why he will polarize the rest of the women.
Yeah, again, so let me break it down from the base. So let's
If
say
Killian Murphy got with a woman who
got
was
five
actually
points.
using him for his money, let's say, there would be still a chance that he gets used and abused. That is the
Yeah, again,
reason,
so
I
let me
believe that is the reason that celebrities marry within their circles, because the people that they end up marrying are with them for them, not, but they have that option to do so. They know that they have the money as well, so they aren't probably marrying this guy for the money.
Yeah, exactly. And let me again break it down from another point of view. Let's say you get with a woman and you are 1.5 points higher than her in looks. So let's say she's a 6.5 or 7 and you are an 8. Again, the thing is, if she's gotten with an 8, which is you, the chances that a 9 out of 10 would commit into a loyal relationship with her is slimmer. So
Not
let's say
just
if another
slimmer, bro. How many men out there are genuine 9s and 10s? There's an ocean between a 8 and a 9, an even larger ocean between a 7 and an 8.
Exactly. So when it comes to climbing up, the higher you go, the lesser the chances. Because first, the sample size, the amount of guys who are more attractive than you is.
And there's
already
also
slim.
another
And
thing.
again,
Once you reach that certain attractiveness and a certain dick size, alright, she orgasms to you. And there's some research on this that women would rate men that they're genuinely attracted to about 2 points higher. Now, this might sound copium, but yeah. Andrew Tate was right when he said that if she genuinely loves you, that means if she has orgasm to you and shit, then she probably rates you 2 points higher, and that results in her seeing other men comparatively repulsive, in comparison to you, right?
yeah, also the fact that again, like as I pointed out, the men that are rated higher than you won't go for her, and that subconsciously your partner, your woman would know as well that her rating is so and so. She can't target a guy who is 3 points higher than her because that guy would most probably pump and dump her. So she probably won't.
Yeah, also
risk
there's
a
another
pump
thing.
and-
Let's talk about this. भाई वो बात तो छोड़ दे. The issue is people who are genuine eights. These words would never leave their mouths. People who are genuine eights, The difference is they are considered tense by a vast majority of the population, by at least a huge chunk of the populations, you know. And oftentimes, men who are genuinely aides are also in some jobs that they make a lot of money. They get that leverage to choose from women who also make a lot of money. So the woman who is getting with him is probably not getting with him for his money. I mean, can't this same argument be made for anything, guys? Oh, if she got with you for a good personality, she would leave you for someone who has a better personality. If she got with you for your money, she would leave you for someone who has more money.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was coming for. Like, personality isn't completely off from this argument as well. Like, what if somebody who is more compassionate, more empathetic, more logical, more sound comes along? Would she leave you as well? Is my mic there?
Yeah, it's all right. So let's say if you are someone like an Asian who has neotenous facial features, you need to make like 6 times higher than the average. She keeps talking about, I gave her the point that an apple tree that you grow in Bengal and an apple tree that you grow in Kashmir, those two apple trees are gonna be different. And she said, she's like, oh, of course, bhai, usne to made a point. She was saying that it's like comparing apples and oranges. And I told her that it's like, no, it's not like comparing apples and oranges. It's like growing an apple tree in Bengal versus one in Kashmir. Oh, they will have vastly different qualities. Bro, I hate to break it to you, but quality is objectively measurable. Of course, one's juicier, one has a better hormonal profile, one can make its own hormones, while the other has to be watered and shit, you know. Watered and sprayed with artificial shit, or else it would fucking die and never fruit. And India consistently ranks lower in happiness indexes. I talked about the study, right, from Mom's Press. So back in 2015, people wouldn't freak out as much as they do. Bhai, aajkal everyone is a snowflake. These days, everyone is a snowflake. On the right, they are snowflakes. On the left, they are snowflakes. Parties that claim to be centrists are the biggest snowflakes.
I believe what has happened is, first of all, with the democratization of internet, more people are getting more people are getting chances to express their voice on the internet. So there could be a possibility that there were just as many snowflakes, but now they're getting to voice their objection or voice their opinion. Or the second point is, with the democratization of information, the same point, more propaganda is reaching to the regular people. So back in the day when regular people only had 1 or 2 sources of information, now they are bombarded with 10 or 20 sources of information, and now they are getting more polarized because propaganda is relatively easier to spread. So that's why more people are likely to be snowflakes.
So I suggested her the study that women who are in relationships for 2 years with unattractive men, even more than 2 years with unattractive men, they have greater tendencies to cheat. And she was asking, oh, what is the sample size? Brother, your sample size is fucking 1. Your sample size is 1, and you were talking about what is the sample size? And
I believe that's a genuine question. But if the only thing she asks is sample size, then I believe that she just heard sample size in one of the studies, and now she slaps that every time. Me personally, I would rather ask for the study design, sample size, statistical significance. I would ask multiple things. But if her clock is stuck at sample size, I believe she's trying to sound more intellectual than she is.
Shit, I got a call, man. So we'll be recording part 2 of this.